this is destroyed by political necessity. The Indian world had to be enslaved. So much for utopia in the New World and in the Old World, because of course the year Thomas More is beheaded, 1535, is the same year that the utopian communities in Michoacan also are interdicted and disappeared in the wake of the conquest.
For Europe, it was psychologically important to project brutality onto the cultures it was itself destroying. The reverse side of the good savage was more gruesome, the man-eating savage beyond the pale, who could, if captured, be justifiably enslaved.
I have found no monsters, nor had a report of any, except in an island, Carib, which is inhabited by a people who are regarded in all the islands as very fierce and who eat human flesh. They have many canoes with which they range through all the islands and pillage and take whatever they can.
This figure has had a potent life in the imagery and literature of Europe, in particular through Shakespeare's The Tempest.
Thou most lying slave, whom stripes may move, not kindness, I have used thee, filth as thou art, with humane care, and lodged thee in mine own cell.
I think there is a strong link between Columbus and The Tempest. Perhaps we can say Columbus was the first Prospero in history. Evidently, without the arrival of Colon and his men to this continent, The Tempest wouldn't have been written, at least not the way it was written.
Like many other Latin American writers, Retamar identifies not with Prospero, but Caliban.
Caliban was the owner of the island. Prospero arrived to the island and made of Caliban a slave. The very name of Caliban is an anagram of cannibal. So from Carib comes cannibal, from cannibal, Caliban.
I am all the subjects that you have, which first was mine own king. And here you stye me in this hard rock.
One of the most important lines in The Tempest is about the idea of language, and Caliban and language.
It's a very, very important moment in the piece, no? When Prospero reminds Caliban that he taught language to Caliban. Caliban had another language, but in fact Prospero taught the language of the colonizer, you know? And Caliban replies, you taught me language, and my profit on it is I know how to curse. The Red Plague rid you for lending me your language. Language means here the whole cultural apparatus, no?
So Caliban, with the cultural tools he's learnt from Europe, has to find his own voice and repossess his own history.
La conquista fue realizada para poner estas tierras americanas al servicio del desarrollo ajeno. No para convertirlas en un paraíso ni para buscar en ellas el paraíso perdido, sino para convertirlas en un infierno, porque el infierno fue el precio que esta América pagó para que Europa pudiera desarrollarse.
Eduardo Galeano has presented an alternative history of Latin America, assembling a collage of texts from the conquest to the present day, which he calls Memory of Fire.
La verdadera historia de América no ha sido contada, porque en los textos oficiales figura la otra, escrita por y para los blancos, los ricos, los machos y los militares. Yo, que soy blanco y que soy macho, pero que no soy rico ni militar, quisiera ayudar a que se conozcan las voces que de veras vale la pena escuchar. Y por eso escribí Memoria del Fuego, que es una voz de voces, una tentativa de recuperar la memoria histórica que de veras vale la pena.
One of the most bitter memories is that after only 100 years, the majority of the native inhabitants had died.
Influenza does not shine like the steel sword, but no Indian can dodge it.
Tetanus and typhus kill more people than 1,000 greyhounds with fiery eyes and foaming jaws. The smallpox attacks in secret, and the gun with a loud bang, amid clouds of sparks and sulphurous smoke. But smallpox annihilates more Indians than all the guns. The winds of pestilence are devastating these regions. Anyone they strike, they blow down. They devour the body, eat the eyes, close the throat. All smells of decay. Meanwhile, a mysterious voice ranges over the land. It treads on the heels of the pestilence and penetrates the litanies of the dying. This voice that whispers from one ear to another, whoever throws the crucifix out of this house will return from the dead.
Y cuando Hernán Cortés llega a México, hace una cosa absurda desde el todo punto de vista de lo que pudiera ser el propósito de un conquistador. El propósito de un conquistador es suscitar las menores resistencias posibles. Y Cortés lo primero que hace al llegar al primer templo azteca es tomar las deidades, los ídolos, y lanzarlos por las escaleras abajo y poner una cruz y una imagen de la Virgen María. No podía hacerse una provocación más grande. Con lo cual él estaba diciendo que no solamente venían a una conquista militar, sino que venían a una conquista espiritual. Y eso lo lograron. Y eso es la característica fundamental del mundo latinoamericano. En 50 años, los indios de la América Latina se hicieron cristianos.
The Catholic invaders sought to destroy the books and images of the indigenous peoples, denying them the validity of their languages and their ways of representing history, mythology, and time.
You say that our gods are not original. That's news to us, and it drives us crazy. It's a shock and it's a scandal. For our ancestors came to Earth and they spoke quite differently. They gave us our supper and our breakfast, all things to drink and eat, maize and beans, purslane and sage. And should we now destroy the old law, the Toltec law, the Chichimec law, the Colwa law, on which the heart of being flows, from which we animate ourselves, through which we pass to adulthood, from which flows our cosmology and the manner of our prayer?